Hey, this is Jabbo, and I'm going to do a quick little video here to show the difference between a 4.5 volt train motor and a 12 volt train motor. Now here I have two train motors from the older Lego sets. They're both the 4 by 12 by 3 1/3 train motors. They're a little bit different styles, but they're basically the same size. One's a 12 volt motor and one's a 4.5 volt motor. And I have purchased a 12 volt motor once on Bricklink, and I got it and I found out it was a 4.5 volt motor, and I was very disappointed because the 12 volt cost a lot more than the 4.5 volt, because 4.5 volt more common. This is actually the 4.5 volt. This is the 12 volt. Well, what's the... Okay, I've placed these two motors side by side, and you can see here it looks yellow. Over here it's red. Actually, that says 4 right there, and this one, if it was cleaner, you could tell that it said 12. Isn't that easy? Yet most time people overlook that. Our good sellers in Europe, they tend to know the difference with that, because there's more common. These weren't sold in the United States, as far as I know, the 12 volt. So that's how you tell. It's just as simple as that. And now I'm going to do a little test to see if this is how I test my 12 volt and my 5 volt or 4.5 volt motors. I use a 5 volt power supply and a 12 volt supply. They're all built into this one device here. And I take the common here and keep it the same, and then so I use that in the 12 volt to test the 12 volt. And it's interesting that this is yellow for 12 and this is red for the 5 or 4.5. It won't overload it, just a half volt more. So let me so what I do is I take my 12 volt supply here, I take one lead and put it in one end and put it in the other, and have a little wheel there, see it, and there it goes. And basically the way these work, you reverse the polarity and then it goes in the other direction. So that's how you test them. And you'll notice there's several places for contacts. You can test each contact to make sure it works. I got that one wedged in there good, didn't I? And just go like that and see if it works. And that's all there is to it. There's also contacts on the underside, and they have special bricks that can connect there. So that's the 12 volt. That was the 12 volt. Now I'll change over to the 5 volt supply and test my 4.5 volt motor. Just simple as that. This one runs a little rougher than the other one. And that's all there is to it. And that's how I always test all my motors before I sell them. Or if I have my own model, I want to make sure it works. But remember, red, 4.5 volt, yellow is the 12 volt. Always remember that. And here's a package I received from Zephyr Guitars and Parts. This guy, he has a lot of cool guitar parts, but I'm not into guitars. But he's had several auctions where he's sold some pretty cool 12 volt accessories, and here's one. I opened it up and he's packed it real well. He's covered it in bubble wrap. This is accessory, it's number 703, which should be a 12 volt motor. I'm going to open it. So this was what was in the box. It's the 12 volt motor, and these are replacement parts. Say your motor stops working, maybe it's burned up, Lego sold replacement parts, and this is the 12 volt motor. And you see that yellow mark, that's what you're seeing when you look in this. You see that yellow? You're actually looking at the actual top of the motor. And of course a 4.5 volt will have a red 4 right there. So that's the difference between a 4.5 volt and a 12 volt motor, and this is a replacement part for your motors.